Do you think they gave them the budget for a Disney Plus film and then went, fuck, it's kind of good? Because the editing, like, the whole film looks like streaming, right?
Nice car.
It's totally mine.
She thinks you're cute.
I do not.
Yes, she does.
I do.
She so does.
Dr. Coleman? Oh my God, go. That's my therapist.
Kudos, Disney, for capitalizing on the current wave of everybody demanding that comedy films come back to cinema. Slightly less kudos for leaning harder into the kind of attempts at emotional gut punches rather than the comedy this time. Not that it didn't have comedy. I just rewatched the first Freaky Friday recently and was surprised that it was like a full-fledged comedy more than anything else. And this one, it doesn't quite feel so much like that, but I mean, it still had Manny Jacinto doing Dirty Dancing, so I'll forgive it. Freakier Friday brings back Anna Coleman and her mother, Dr. Tess Coleman, and then a continued career resurgence for Jamieleecurtis and probably the first bearable film Lindsay Lohan starred in for the last 20 years or so, yeah. So Lindsay Lohan has problems with her teenage daughter because just every mother does. I mean, not as bad, honestly, as she had with her mother. It's not that scary this time. The real conflict in the film comes down to her daughter having problems with her stepdaughter, her new almost stepdaughter, very British girl, far more British than like anyone I've ever met, and I live in the UK, but whatever. And she's got Manny Jacinto. By the way, is Manny Jacinto actually British? Because Jason from The Good Place would have had like he already was like super hot, but like, dear Lord, with that accent, man. Anyway, she's gonna marry him in 2 days, which means obviously it's time for them all to have a bunch of problems and switch, and then have a super busy, not even 1 day, 2 days, as they try and figure out how to fix each other's bodies, but mostly the teenagers who are in the adults' bodies are just trying to figure out a way to break them up, and then they do and go, shit. So this is a kind of weird film, yeah. Wacky as hell, I'll say that, despite not being like, I don't feel like the overwhelming primary focus was comedy this time. It's still very funny. Jamie Lee overacts even harder when she gets switched with a teenager, and the line like, I'm the crypt keeper, it's good stuff. There's funny moments, but I was kind of thinking about this before it came out in the same category as like Hocus Pocus 2, Disenchanted, like those kind of Disney Plus long-awaited sequels that nobody was waiting for to hammer down the PG Disney film nostalgia on everybody. And I would say this is the best of them, fairly comfortably. I didn't think those were good. I would say that it's, I don't know, the goal when you make a sequel, even a long-awaited sequel, is generally to try and make it feel like these films now are a two-parter. You gotta watch them together or whatever. And it does nothing to actually make me feel like that. It's not exactly a rehash of the first one, because it's much more about the two teenagers trying to get along and become family, rather than trying to put back together a family that's brutally broken, which is what the first one was. And I like that. It just, I don't know. It's not, at the end of the day, a memorable film. It's such a fan of Freaky Friday, and more specifically just the entire vibe of early noughties Disney Channel. Like, not only the editors, because clearly looking at the film, like, it does not look like it's made for cinema at all, but also the writers. The writers feel like they just desperately want to be dumped down in the middle of a Lizzie McGuire episode and left there to thrive forever. It's very much, I don't know, things like the food fight in the opening act at the high school, like, oh, and the end credits with all of the bloopers in, which I did like. I liked that they do these things, but the whole vibe was like trying to recapture something that's lost, and it's not necessarily even a bad thing that it's lost. We've moved on. It's fine. This does stumble around a little. It's 110 minutes long, which is long for this kind of film. We already know what the premise is fully. You're just doing it with more people now. That's fine. We don't need you to over-explain this, and that's kind of what they tried to do. That there is a lot of time before they jump into the body swapping. The body swapping's then good, but it does go on a little longer than it needs to, and then the finale just, again, it doesn't feel like super drawn out at any point, but it's just overall like a little longer than it needed to be for a silly, fun sequel like this, okay? Jamie Lee Curtis is the highlight, just at all times. Trying to like speak like a British teenager would, but with the American accent still, was such a weird challenge. They just seemed to give up on it halfway through, the writers, honestly. When it's doing comedy, it does it fairly well a lot of the time. It's enjoyable. The Chapel Rowan songs in the soundtrack, can't complain about that either. And the side characters really make it work well. I mean, not just Chad Michael Murray, who is phenomenally funny just back in this. But like Maitrey Ramakrishnan is great. Seeing her as this kind of like pop star having a meltdown over a breakup, that was really amusing. Just like the sidekick, Vanessa Bayer playing her was really funny, and Mark Harmon, man's finally aged, and it kind of broke me a little bit, but also he's 73, he had to eventually, I guess. It's just great seeing these characters again, and it's just a fun film without being like enough to make a really memorable mark. I'm not going to feel the need to rewatch this one like I feel the need to rewatch the first one sometimes. So I'm giving it basically blasphemy to have a Freaky Friday film go into the Saturday and they're not fixed. 3 stars. Yeah, Lindsay Lohan, like, she did the Netflix run, Irish Wish, awful. Our Little Secret, awful. Before that, she was doing that, like, weird phase where she tried to do, like, erotic thrillers and stuff in, like, 2013. No, go before that. You're probably going back to, like, 2005. It's been 20 years since she was in a decent film.